I end up having to draw myself a lot, mainly because I'm a DIY sort of creator where I just make everything, right? So when it comes to personal artwork, namely with sonas and fan sonas actually, it kind of brings up this distinct feeling of self-indulgence, I guess. Like,
can I really just do this? Is it okay? Have I done too much?
I mean, yeah, of course it's okay, but you know, the brain's a little silly sometimes. On the flip side, I am always excited to see other people's. So, when a friend of mine got into Splatoon recently and shared his excitement for making his own Sona for the game, I found the enthusiasm to be infectious. Enough to the point that an idea spawned into my brain. It said, adapt your Sona into 3 different worlds. Okay, brain, which ones? Splatoon? Well, what about the other 2? I didn't know. So I ended up holding a poll over on Twitch, and it looked like the final 2 would be Pokemon and Undertale. Normally, you'd pick worlds you're already a big fan of, but no, I'm out here trying to immerse myself into some random universes. Because why not? Why not go the roundabout way? Will it do something to my brain cells? Maybe. If there was just one more motivating factor, it was the thought that perhaps, mayhaps, others would like to join me. So I ended up posting about it over on a site called Unvale. I'm still new to it myself, but so far it's been an absolute delight. If you haven't heard about it, it's a social platform for OC havers and enjoyers. Its whole mission being around creating a safe space for creatives to share their work, get inspired, and to connect with each other. It's a very welcoming, AI-free community that's open for character creators, artists, writers, and storytellers. I ended up making a character post. Typically, you'd use these for your OCs, of course, though I've seen a lot of people use these pretty creatively to host their own community events. So I took some inspiration from that and made a little hub for how it'd work and where I'd be posting my art for this challenge. Features I really enjoy include the gallery for easy organizing, support for written content, something I'd be using for lore later on actually, and also just how easy their tagging system is. With one quick search of AU Sonas 2025, I was able to quickly find all submissions by time the deadline rolled around. You'll be able to see many of them actually at the end of this video. If there's one final thing you should know about, it's how enthusiastic this community is. Almost every character uploaded gets likes and comments, and there's also a chance for anyone's work to be featured on the front page too. If you'd like to check it out for yourself, go ahead and check out the link in the description or in the pinned comment to join. Thank you to Unvale for sponsoring this video. I don't even think I mentioned this yet, but I haven't played Splatoon. So you have my friend to blame for this one. I basically went down this rabbit hole of checking out some amazing fan art for the game. And yeah, I was seeing it in a different light. I mean, I wasn't completely under a rock. I did watch people play the game in the past. It's just something else when you go at it from a more aesthetic lens, I guess. One thing I noticed about it was just how round, vibrant, and simplified it could be, as well as how fun the general aquatic theme was. And so that kind of got me ready to take on my first fan Sona. As a note, the goal wasn't really mimicking the style for any of these games, just getting a design that you could imagine in the world. The first thing I did actually was take some silly quiz, and the result I got was starfish, so it wasn't quite vibing with me, and so I ended up doing some more research, including looking at current species within the game, as well as other aquatic animals that just are existing out there, being fish, you know? It wasn't until I came across this species here, I'll put the name of it on screen because I'm not about to try pronouncing it, but it's this cute blue sea slug that has this black stripe pattern on the back that I found pretty cool. What I liked about it was not just the color it was, but also the way its ears looked and the little tail it has, something I thought would translate pretty well with my current design. Once I had my initial inspiration, I went on to doing the concept art for it. One interesting thing about picking a sea slug was the fact that there was an NPC in-game. It's this character named Flo, and she works at this store called Headspace, I believe. One thing I noted from her design was just how small she looked and how huge the little sea slug hat was on her head. Because of that, I kind of had some initial lore going into this, and it was that I could be like an NPC as well. Someone who just recently moved to the area and someone who's just still getting acquainted with the culture, namely seeing all those octolings and squidlings battle it out all the time, I guess. I didn't end up needing to do that many takes of the concept because after I got my initial sketch in, I felt like I was already pretty happy with the proportions and the little design I came up with for the outfit. And I knew, of course, I had 2 other Sonas to design, so
Speed is indeed a factor.
the main changes included these little transparent ruffle frill things at the ends of the sleeves. I also added a cute little bag and changed how the tail looked to be somewhat more like the actual species of sea slug. In addition to that, I took some inspiration from Flo's design in terms of the sea slug part on top of the head and those really long eyelashes that she has. I decided I'd put that within my design too. One funny thing that I realized only at the end of this was, upon closer inspection, I realized that Flo probably only has 1 leg. I assumed to mimic that one body sort of appearance that a sea slug has, and I could consider that, but, you know, I'm simply a different sea slug species, and this one just so happens to have 2 normal legs, and it's fine. We don't need to worry about that. I'm not ready for the 1-leg life, okay? Next up is Pokemon. This one I imagine to be more chill, mainly because I have actually played the game this time around, and a few of them at that. These being Pokemon X and Y, Sun and Moon, Sword and Shield, and yeah, you could throw in a Mystery Dungeon or Pokemon Go. But we're not going to count those ones because, you know, it's not like a main Pokemon game, right? Right? I don't know. For this one, the brainstorming began on stream, and the goal was to basically assemble a team and figure out exactly where I'd be in this universe. One thing that felt nice about this one was just how open the world was. Not only are there multiple regions, but there's so many things a person could do, and it made it way more easy to just fit myself in wherever without being confined to a smaller world setting, like for Splatoon or later on Undertale. The theme I wanted to go with was Fairy and Steel because they're my favorite types, and no, I cannot explain why. Well, the fairy one might be more obvious. And I thought it'd be fun to be one of those themed trainers that have less variety of types, but a clear focus. Kind of like a gym leader. So, the ones that came immediately to mind was Sylveon and Aegislash, these being my first favorite Pokemon from when I played X and Y. Another one of my favorites was the Alolan Ninetales too, and what's fun about that one is, again, it fits that fairy slot of the concept. In the end, I ended up making an A team and B team because I cannot narrow down to just 6, and I imagine they'd swap places either way. After I had the team picked out, the next step was figuring out where I'd be in the world. I ended up opening an article that was just like types of jobs that exist in the world of Pokemon, right? And yeah, there were some ideas there, though it kind of hit me to be one of those people that worked at a battle cafe. Like, you go in and it serves you like a 3-course meal, and each time you have to fight someone or something like that. Like, imagine it. A cute and elegant cafe. A themed cafe for appreciating all things fairy and still because hell yeah, let's do it. And then me, dressed up in work cosplay, I guess. You know, looking cute as hell. It's just a dream. What a delight it'd be. I worked on getting the pose I'd be using in the final artwork, and I used that as my base for sketching outfit concepts until it eventually came together. One fun element I didn't initially anticipate was adding armor, namely for the chest plate, the legs, and also the arms. Someone in chat had even suggested I do like a metal tray too, which I wasn't sure of because I didn't really feel like drawing food this time around. But I thought it'd be kind of cool if it was holding the Pokeballs. So that was being held by one hand and the other one a menu to further emphasize that whole cafe restaurant sort of energy. If there was one final thing I was kind of surprised by, it was me actually adding in Pokemon because like, yeah, there's a somewhat of a time crunch. I should probably just do the design, but no, it's important. You have to have your favorite Pokemon there. Well, you don't need the Pokemon, but you need the Pokemon. If that makes sense. Final thing I want to note too about the design, it was me just blending in my current existing outfit with parts of the Pokemon I selected. Other things I included was the apron wrap and the fluffy part of the dress, which was inspired from Altaria here, and also just that ribbon bow sort of look from Sylveon as well. The last one I did was for Undertale. It was actually the one I was most worried about because it's such a plot-focused, small-scale sort of story, and there's a lot of unique designs for the characters, which, of course, is a good thing. But for my purposes, it would mean expanding my horizons a little more and trying out something I never usually do. And that's, you know, monster or creature design. I mean, technically there are humans in this universe, but it kind of felt like going on easy mode when I know I could probably push it a little further. I once again started this design on stream, and my initial sketches were kind of quirky. I had actually used a wheel to help me decide the general nature of this character because the monsters in Undertale had a lot of variety, including ghosts, animals, skeletons, and more. The one thing I wonder about ghosts for this universe is whether they're just born into the world as is or if they have died. And if that's the case, I'm still kind of wondering, what was their species? What do they look like? I'm confused. One of the things I explored was kind of like a little ghost orb cat, plus even a TV head sort of character, though I thought it'd be more fun to kind of give it a more robotic feel while still playing into that humanoid shape that I'm more comfortable with. Mainly taking inspiration from this Mew Mew character, I'll put the name on screen here, who is apparently an animatronic actually, and also the spider character Muffet. The idea was that my main form would be the little ghost me, though I'd usually be possessing this robotic body, similar to Mettaton actually, who turned out to have been a ghost in the past, which was something I totally forgot about. One fun concept was how I would incorporate the mask, and I had this idea that maybe when I wear the mask over the monitor, because, you know, goofy energies, right? It would help my ghost form stay within the vessel, as otherwise I would have this tendency to slip out and reveal my true form. Oh no! I can just quickly say that this one did end up being my favorite of all three, mainly because it was the most challenging and, well, out there sort of concept that really got me thinking in an abstract way for how the heck I could represent myself in a more creative form. Not to say that the others weren't creative, it's just I have a better idea of why people might like more fantastical representations of themselves, whether that be with furries or creature designs, for example. And even beyond the design, I had a great time integrating myself into the lore too. This kind of treading more on like self-insert territory, since I didn't really want to imagine a whole new cast of characters in a section of the world I was like, let's just get in there, work with what's already present. And honestly, if there was anything self-indulgent about this whole challenge, it was just the hypothetical Sona and character interactions that overall just made this experience a huge delight. And how it kind of brought me back to my roots of you're just, hey, I'm just gonna interact with my favorite characters. It's a good time. You know, it's fun. It's good. Just forget about everything and do it. And you're gonna have a good time. You're gonna have a good time. You are going to have a good time. It kind of made me think back to a time where self-inserts were a little more controversial or whatever. It was more relevant for writing usually. When it comes to writing, it's like, okay, you're not pushing yourself to understand a different type of character and maybe exploring. And for art, there is also still that whole Mary Sue concept of an idealized form potentially, which can also exist for OCs, but you know. For the part of the community I'm in, however, I feel like there's that strong sentiment of cringe culture being dead, doing whatever the hell you want, and of course just that general guideline of be respectful. If you don't like something, don't engage with it. I can even talk about that POV of like being a content creator or a VTuber where in its culture, there is a lot of emphasis with just having a good time with your design and also for lore if that's something you're into. It can be as out there as you want. People will love it and the community understands its importance, its relevance, and just how cool it is in general. So bringing that energy into this conversation, I just think that Sonas are great. And people should have more fun with it if they're not already. One of the biggest struggles I imagine though for this whole, experiment is how you can personally connect with your design and if what it expresses is clear to others. The same sorts of principles that apply to original characters too, basically. If anything, I can just say it's okay to take your time with it. And just, of course, to anticipate that it will change over time. So if it's not perfect for you right now, you can always continue to refine it until it fits you better. One thing that makes it easier is when they're a part of a world, not just existing in a void, basically. When I first began designing my own in the past, it was often in the form of a self-insert or fansona for different shows and media I enjoyed. And what I love most about this was that community feel that you get from doing something like this. One of my favorite memories was when I was younger and having these little group chats with other fans and friends where we'd draw each other for the same little universes that we all enjoyed. It wasn't until I started YouTube, actually, that I got to work on something more original. Something beyond just drawing how I looked in real life, at least. As for how I designed it, I essentially worked on brainstorming key things I enjoyed and figured out how to blend it all together. Even when I had a design though, it's not to say it always has to be the same or anything. If something's not working for you anymore, it's completely okay to go back to the drawing board and to try again. My Sona started off as this little chibi PNG tuber, all the way to a VTuber model, and now back to something cute, simple, and vibrant. Looking at it is just like a little insight into my brain, and I hope you can pick up on that. I am full of rainbows and sparkles. It's true. It's true. So, yeah, this is a great get to know me, actually. Hello. Anyway, once you have your main Sona, it becomes a lot easier to work on figuring out how it translates to alternate forms. And of course, this can work the other way around too. Beyond the practicality of having one in this online world we live in, it's important to create those personal spaces where you can express yourself. Whether it's exaggerated and idealized or down to earth and realistic, it's something that you can use to explore different parts of yourself. And I just think that's neat, alright? I was definitely able to do some of that for this challenge. Plus get a chance to appreciate these games more. Both the ones I played and even the one I didn't, yet still had fun with learning about. If there's one thing I took away from this whole experience, it was that you're not confined to just be one thing, and by branching out, you'll be able to explore new ideas and storylines that you can connect with. So, by all means, please make that self-insert for that show or game you like. Do it. You have to now. And if you want to join on this specific challenge, go ahead and post your designs over on Unvale with the tag Sonas 2025 so other people can find your submissions too. Thank you to everyone who participated and of course you for sticking around. If you'd like to support me and my silly art antics, please consider becoming a member, starting at just $1 on YouTube. Your support means a lot and of course helps me keep going as a content creator. See y'all next time.